Good evening, everybody. Welcome to CS410J Advanced Java Programming here at Portland State University for the summer of 2013. I'm David Whitlock. I've been teaching this course for quite a while now, and it's interesting to see how Java has evolved over that time and how we continue to teach it and what it can still teach us today. This is the first week, and I want to tell you a little bit what to expect. We're going to go over the syllabus first. It's the first day of class, right? What do? You talk about the syllabus. And then I'll give a lecture that sort of gives you some background for Java. So just real quick, who here has programmed in Java before? Okay, so almost everybody. What's been some of your experiences with Java? Tell me like what you've done in it and how sort of comfortable do you feel with the language? Okay, show of hands. Okay, who has written any Java ever? Get those guys up there. Okay, who has written a Java program with more than one class? Okay, who has written a Java program with more than one package? Okay, who has written a Java program that has used a third-party library, somebody else's code? Okay, a couple of you guys. Of the people that are raising their hands, what's the biggest Java program that you've ever written or worked on? Okay, 2,000 lines, big Java program.
Oh, I worked at Jive for 6 months, and that's like a million-line program.
Awesome,
So
yeah,
enormous.
that's easy. Was that through the PSEP program?
It was.
Oh yeah, big fan of PSEP. I'll tell you about that sometime. Good deal. And?
Yeah, same here. I worked on some C component stuff.
Oh, cool.
With Java EE, with millions and millions of lines with Conway.
Okay, through Conway. Awesome. Okay, so it looks like we've got a nice broad swath of Java experience here. And that's good. I hope that there's going to be something for everybody in this course. I'm guessing that hopefully you checked out what we'll be talking about and there's something of interest. For tonight, I'm going to walk through the Java review slides. Maybe for those of you who haven't touched the language in a while, or maybe just sort of want to understand, okay, where are we starting? I'm going to talk about that. And then there are a couple assignments that I'm going to discuss. If we look at like what's here on the course schedule, I was planning on talking about going to details about JUnit and Maven, but I'm trying something different this term. So at the end of last term, I was really I did some soul searching and thought about what I want out of this course. And the way that I've always approached this course is sort of the sage on the stage. I'm up here and the Java developer with all this experience, I'm basically talking at you for like 3 hours every week. And I'm starting to get bored of it. And I can't imagine what it's like for you guys. And so I was thinking about it's like there's got to be a better way for us to learn about Java. There's got to be a better way for me to tell you what I think you need to know. And really, I wanted something, a little different experience. And what I'd like is an experience that's more interactive. It really doesn't do me much of any good to just sit up here talking while you guys are taking notes or checking your Facebook or whatever it is that you're doing, trying to stay awake while I go on at length about all the details about Maven, which you need to know, but I don't know if that's the best way of getting across. So what I'd like to do this term is I've put some of my lectures up on YouTube. I've recorded screencasts, and that's sort of like sit down for an hour and listen to me talk. We don't need to do that live. Let's do that recorded. And so I put it up there, and I'll show you in a second how to get to it. But what I'd like to do in class, a little bit of lecture, but then also more demonstration. So I've got some ideas for me coding, you watching, you coding with me, you asking questions, trying to make it be more interactive. I think it'll be a better use of everybody's time. I think ultimately it'll be a better learning experience for you guys. That being said, it is an experiment. And so one of the things that I want to be sure to do is get your feedback on how things are working. I realize that this model might be a little different from what you're used to, and it's different from what I'm used to teaching. But it's something I'd like to try tonight. So, try this term. So tonight, again, I'll lecture for a little while about the Java programming language, basically give you a review. Hopefully it's things that jog your memory. Feel free to ask me questions at any time. But JUnit Maven, you'll be able to view the slides, view the lecture, if you will, online on YouTube. I guess since I'm talking about it, the YouTube playlist is here at the top left-hand corner of the course webpage, which is www.cs.pdu.edu. www.cs.pdx.edu/tilde-whitlock. There's a link to the YouTube playlist. Right now, I've got 3 videos up there. I've got a video about getting started with Java that talks about some of the tools that you'll be using. So those of you who might have checked out some of the reading already, we use IntelliJ, we use Maven, we use things like that. This sort of tells you how to get started with it. I put up a video about using Git and GitHub for storing your source code, for managing your source code. Are you guys familiar with SCM utilities like Git and GitHub? Maybe heard of it a little bit. If you'd like to use it, I've got a screencast that'll sort of show you some techniques that I use. It's not required though in this course. There's some advantages, but it's not something that's required. And finally, I've got the JUnit lecture up there right now. I've recorded the Maven lecture, but I need to do a little bit of editing of it first. But I'll try to get that up before the end of the week. Probably I'll get to that tomorrow night. So anyway, I want to experiment with this and let me know how it works. And actually, the way you can let me know how it works is through our Google Plus community. So for the longest time, excuse me, I had a mailing list, a listserv, right? And it's email, and it works well, and everybody knows how to use it and things like that, but it's not terribly interactive. And when we wanted to have thread discussions, it got really messy. So what I'd like to use is Google Plus for having conversations related to this course. When we go through the syllabus, you'll see my email address. Of course, I read my email. But if you've got a question about assignments, something that you think would be pertinent to the rest of the class, please post it to Google Plus, and that way we can have a better conversation. It's also much easier for me to disseminate information about, oh, hey, I just posted a new video, or hey, check out this other thing that we found. Oh, I guess one more thing, as you probably noticed, I'm going to experiment with recording the lecture, our time here together, just so we have it. I find that it's pretty cheap for me to do, and so that way, if you miss a week or if there's something that you want to go back and review, we'll have some sort of audit trail. Again, let me know what you think is useful. Are you guys familiar with Google Plus? Google? Everybody know Google? Okay, just making sure. I like Alta Vista. Okay, good. Nothing like that. Okay. Right on. Okay, any questions so far? I kind of tend to talk fast. Okay, cool. Okay, so here's who we are. We're Advanced Java Programming. Here's how to learn more. Tonight we're going to talk about the syllabus, review of Java, and then talk about a couple of the programming assignments. Let's just dive right into the syllabus. Is that all readable? Barely. Never mind. Then I'll make it big. There we go. Oops. That's stupid. Why is Option plus zoom fit width? Really? Okay, good enough. Okay, so what are we doing here? Well, for me, the goal of this course, and what I hope that you leave here in 8 weeks, is as an appreciation of the Java programming platform, everything you can do with the Java language and the platform on which it's run, and to have fun doing it. This is a summer course, right? And I hope that it's that the programming assignments are enjoyable, still yet challenging and interesting. Well, I like fun, and I hope that you have fun too. So how are we going to do it? Well, we have what we're doing right now, which is lecture and in-class discussion. And like I said, I'd like to de-emphasize lecture this time and instead put more emphasis on in-class discussion, which I guess puts some additional responsibility on you guys to sort of be here in the moment, come prepared, check out the lectures on YouTube before you come to class. And I guess that's sort of like the contract that I'm saying. It's like, hey, listen, I'll put in my time outside of lecture to record things so that then you can come prepared instead of having to figure out what I'm saying in the moment and and ask questions that way. One of sort of my guiding principles for teaching is that I want to teach by doing. I want you guys to see examples of things. This isn't the kind of course where you can just read a textbook and then take some quiz. You're going to be writing code, and you're going to be seeing a lot of code. If you look at my slides, there's just a lot of code. It's a programming course, right? I don't know how you'd learn it any other way. And so then, there's code examples in the project on the website, and then I also hope to be writing code with you during class. To give you a chance to apply what you've learned, there's a multi-phase project that we implement. I believe it's 5 phases. And it really follows the lecture material. So, the first project is all about writing some very simple classes. Then you do some file I/O, some sorting, learning about the various data structures. And then sort of in the second half of the class, we focus on building web applications. First of all, there's the phase, I think it's phase 4 of the project is to work with a REST API. And then finally, what you end up with is a rich internet application implemented in Google Web Toolkit. And so I hope that in all of this, you get appreciation for Java and everything it can do. Now, these projects build on top of one another, and so then it really behooves you to understand the fundamental concepts that you learn in projects 1 and 2, because you'll still be working with them by week 7, week 8 of the class. In addition to your project work, which really applies what you've learned, I also use quizzes and exams to measure and evaluate what you've learned. It's important to me that you be able to articulate in words the concepts that you've learned. It's not just about coding, but it's also about understanding. And the quizzes and exams, do measure that. But if you notice, in terms of what determines your grade, the projects have a much larger emphasis. So what are we going to talk about this term? Well, we'll talk about some very fundamental things, the Java language syntax. Okay, there's a programming language there. But also, it's really important to understand object-oriented design and object-oriented programming. Java is an object-oriented language, and it really, objects are ubiquitous throughout the programming environment. So not only they're in the language, but also a lot of what you do is you manipulate objects from the standard class libraries, your own objects, things that I've written. And you'll see a lot of examples of design patterns in object-oriented programming. One of the nice things about Java is that it comes with a very rich set of standard Java classes, standard Java libraries. And this means that you don't need to write your own linked list, you don't need to write your own hash table. They have very solid, well-proven libraries that someone else, who's probably much smarter than you or I, has written and has tested. So you can just use those without worrying about it. As I get further and further into my career, I've come to try more and more on testing and automated testing to give me confidence about what I've done. We'll see a couple of examples tonight, but what that lecture that I have up on YouTube about unit testing and JUnit is really is really showing the power of writing tests. And I will encourage you, and I'll try to give you lots of examples of test-driven development. Basically saying, hey, as you're writing your code, actually even before you write your code, write a test so that you can understand, you can verify in code that your application is doing the right thing. Now, I want you guys in this class to focus on Java programming, not on building Java projects. And so we're going to leverage a tool called Apache Maven to do a lot of the heavy lifting of our projects. Once we start getting into the second half of the course, we're dealing with web applications and Google Web Toolkit. Just the mechanics of building the project get a lot more complex. And I don't want you guys to be spending a lot of time configuring environments and figuring out the command line and stuff like that. So we're going to be leveraging Maven for that. We'll see some examples of Maven tonight, but here again, all of the sort of the deep background, we'll capture that in a screencast and put it up on YouTube for you to watch. So once we get sort of the fundamentals of working with Java, then we'll go into some even more advanced things, such as developing web applications. So one of the primary uses of Java is to support the internet and is to serve up web content and really give you and develop a lot of very powerful web-based applications. And we'll learn some of the fundamental building blocks of how to do that. And on top of that, you'll build a client-server application. And we finish off the course with a couple of concepts that are probably new to you. The first one is reflection and dependency injection. Dependency injection is a design pattern that allows you to build large applications using small components that can be developed and tested independently from everything else. It's a way of really understanding dependencies, how objects refer to and use other objects. And I found that it really helps you focus in on functionality in isolation, and then develop an application that that is easily testable and you can be evolved easily. And finally, we'll look at the Google Web Toolkit framework for building rich internet applications. And so, well, the reason that I like to cover GWT is twofold. First of all, it's a rich internet application. You're working in a web environment, and you can have things that feel a lot like a native application in terms of responsiveness and dealing with clicks and everything like that. And in order to do this, you get to learn some good Java code. The Google Web Toolkit uses a lot of good programming practices and programming patterns to implement web applications in a pretty novel way. Any questions on the topics that we're going to be covering? Is there anything else that you'd like to cover? Are there any things that you'd like to see in this class? It sounds like we've got a diversity of backgrounds in here. Is there anything else that you'd particularly like to see or learn?
Can you understand a little bit about beans?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Let me write this stuff down. That'd be good. If I had a dry erase marker, I'd use that. Maybe next week. So, plain old Java beans or enterprise Java beans or
just understanding the difference.
Sure.
I'd be interested in sort of your just take on different IDEs.
Okay. Yeah.
Advantages, disadvantages, and when you would want to use it.
Actually, that's for me a pretty short answer. So IDEs, integrated development environments. Right, these are powerful editing applications that allow you to develop software with ease. And so there's sort of like IDEs like Eclipse, NetBeans, and IntelliJ, and there's also text editors, things like VI or Emacs or TextMate. Although you can sort of see the lower end stuff starting to become more and more complex. I think in many respects, sort of the leading IDEs for Java, I see that as IntelliJ, Eclipse, and NetBeans. They can all do the same things, and they all do them in pretty similar ways. And so, but I will say that my preference is IntelliJ. I've used that for many years, and I think I guess the one that I've used second most is Eclipse. And what I've found is that IntelliJ is much more consistent in its look and feel, in its experience than Eclipse is. So my experience with Eclipse was sort of basic Java editing. Yeah, it made sense. And it's sort of the same thing as that you'd see in other IDEs. But then because of the plugin architecture and because the plugins are authored by different people, I found it difficult to sort of like in the configurations, like different plugins would behave differently or just look different. I found that a little off-putting. And so when I started using IntelliJ, I realized that not only was it was also a little faster than Eclipse back in the day. I don't know if it's still the case, but just the consistency within there appealed to me. That being said, IntelliJ is a commercial product. There is a free community version, which I think will be good enough for this class. But I have an academic license, a classroom license for IntelliJ, and what I'll do is I'll post that license to the community so that you guys can use it. I highly recommend IntelliJ if you're not already familiar or comfortable with another Java-based IDE. That being said, if you are like a VI wizard, that's where you're most comfortable, you can do what you need to do in this class from text editor and the command line. But I can speak from experience that once I sort of moved away from Emacs and started using a different editor, I did find that there are a lot of powerful features of an IDE, of a very rich application, that you just don't have in a basic text editor. So does that answer your question? That's sort of my feelings on that. Good question. Okay, anything else? Yeah.
I'm interested in hibernate persistence.
Right. Yeah, good stuff. So I can't speak and write at the same time. So there's this whole section of the Java world called Enterprise Java. It's not a Star Trek reference. It's like it's building Java code for enterprise level applications, and we'll see some of that when we talk about developing for the web and developing web applications. And that's sort of on the front end is all the web stuff. On the back end, there are a number of Java technologies for storing data in relational databases. Your MySQL, your Oracles, your Microsoft SQL Server, all that kind of stuff. And there is a very popular open source project called Hibernate that lets you map your Java domain object to tables and databases, and makes it much easier to then go back and forth between the two. And give me some time. I'll do some research and maybe talk a little bit on that in the course. Yeah. Is there anything you don't want to learn in this course? Anything that you either already know or have no desire to learn? No? Oh, such inquisition here in the academy. Okay, awesome. Good deal. Okay, so yay, we're all here to learn Java. We're going to learn good stuff, but we're also going to get a grade, right? I mean, that's important too. So, excuse me. 60% of your grade is the project work, is the code that you write. And so there's going to be a multi-phase project, which I think there's 5 phases, plus there's also a bonus project, something called the Java Cones. We'll get introduction to that tonight, which is built up over the entire term. So this isn't like, one project for the entire term. This is lots of projects over the course. And as we'll take a look at, basically you have 2 weeks to do every project, but they're staggered such that there's a project due every week. So I'm evil. And so it means that you really got to keep up with the work as the work keeps coming. Yeah. Absolutely. Or I should have been like, I can't hear you. There's a guy like talking really loud next door. Yeah. Although I am spewing a lot of hot air, so if it gets warm in here, I might need to get some ventilation. So 60% of your grade is the project work. 28% of your grade is the quiz work. There will be 8 quizzes. And there are 8 weeks in the course, and so that means there is a quiz this week. I dropped the lowest quiz grade, so if you're having a bad hair day or whatever, we'll drop the lowest quiz grade. So it's a total of 28%. And this term, I'm giving the quizzes online using D2L. What does D2L stand for? Desire to learn. What was it?
Desire to learn.
Desire to learn. I'm sure they got some mascot with a guy wearing a baseball cap backwards on a skateboard or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's all on D2L. And I like the online quizzes because it gives us more class time. Instead of me giving you pieces of paper and you sitting there scratching your head trying to figure out. I can also grade them online, which is a little bit easier. And I found that they're still pretty effective in terms of giving me feedback on how you guys are understanding the concepts. Everybody familiar with D2L used in other classes? I hope. Okay, good. Let me know or ask a question of the community if you having problems there. Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't seem like it's up yet. Is it supposed to be, or?
Ought to be. I thought I had it configured. Okay, I wonder. I wonder if I need to activate it or something.
There was a message on the side that says to instructors something about activating.
Okay, so okay, excellent. If it's not activated tomorrow at this time, send me an email or post something on the community. I can get to that during a break if someone reminds me. Thank you.
And related,
yeah.
You said like there's a quiz this week, so is it just due before the next class?
Just before the next class. So yeah, the quizzes and the homework assignments are due basically at the beginning of lecture. So because I want you here in class so that we can talk and so that you have a forum to ask your questions and get them answered in real time. So, hey, if you're running late, I'll talk more about the sounds in a bit. But come to class. It's our only chance every week to meet with each other. So yeah, but the quizzes and the projects are already always due 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Which reminds me, during the day I work at Tripwire here downtown. I'm guessing that some of you might also work during the day. I would like to start class at 6 p.m. instead of 5:30. Would that be okay with everybody? Question? Oh, yeah, thumbs up. Okay, good. It's all right.
Move the end time back also.
In theory, yes, but there's no way I'm lecturing for 4 hours. I mean, I'm not a young man anymore. I can't be. I've only got so many jokes. I've only got a couple of jokes, really. So it'll run out pretty quick. So let's see here. Tonight is probably going to go long because I'm going to go through all the Java review and things like that. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. I'm guessing you'll probably also have a lot of questions. But if history, in previous terms, I've always started at 6, and really going much more than 2.5 hours, it stops being effective. So, I want to have a time when we're all here, but I also want to use everybody's time wisely. And I realize there's only so much, that I can say, and only so much that you can absorb in our time together. That being said, sure, 6 to 8:30 or 6 until we're done, and I don't think it'll be much later than 8:30. Now, don't want to make sure. So set the DVR for Desperate Housewives or whatever. What's on television now? It used to be Felicity at one point. I used to have all these jokes around the show Felicity, but anyway, she cut her hair. Anyway, it was on Wednesday nights. I don't know. Where was I? Okay, did the Felicity joke? What else? Okay. Seriously, go watch the podcast. It's the same jokes every year. Right. So, there is a final exam. It's worth 12%. So, do the math. The final exam, not a big deal. As a matter of fact, the final exam is basically it's a little bit more than one of the project grades. So, during that last week, when you have to think about, okay, well, do I put more time in studying for the final exam or more time into doing my project? This is a programming course. I want you to invest in the project. And honestly, the final exam, it's like if you don't know it by the final exam, you're probably not going to be able to cram it into your head in the last week. So that's where the 100% of your grade comes from. With regards to submitting your projects, you have 2 late days to use on the project submission. So again, the projects are all due at Wednesday at 6 p.m. right before the beginning of class. If you submit your project, and we'll talk about how to submit your project. Well, maybe we could get to that tonight. If you submit your project after 6 p.m., that starts the clock on one of your late days, and you get 2 of those late days to use during the term. I also, pardon me. I also will let you submit one project for regrading, and really the reason here is that maybe you sort of miss something fundamental. I use scripts to grade all of the projects, and maybe you misunderstood something about the argument, the order of the command line arguments, or like every test case I run gets a null pointer exception. Well, I don't want to give you a 0 for the project because I'm guessing that's probably like a 1-line change to fix it. So the whole idea behind behind resubmitting the project for regrading is that I want you to be able. I don't want to have you be overly penalized for small mistakes. So you basically get 1 week after I send you the original grade to resubmit it. Otherwise, I don't accept late work. Yeah.
Not that I'm already thinking about how to game the system, but so theoretically, if you had a project and you didn't get it done on time and you wrote 6 lines of code and tried it in, could you submit that for regrading?
Yep, you get one, and then that's your 1 regrade.
Okay.
So I was like, 2 late days, 1 regrade, yeah. And if you're putting that much effort in trying to game the system, just do the assignment, damn it. I mean, it's like, right? Well, and that's the thing that's always gotten me. I remember there were guys in college that were just prided in themselves in that, I tricked this, right? It's like, I just did the homework. It wasn't that hard, dude. So it's yes, but yes, if in theory, and I hope they'll be prepared and things like that. But hey, life happens, and and actually, and to that, if you find yourself in a position where it looks like a project will be in jeopardy, let me know. We can work something out. I have these rules because if I didn't have rules, people would be like, "What? You never said I couldn't turn in project one on the last day of class." Like, well, okay, fine. You can't turn project one on the last day of class. But anyway, so I have a little bit of framework here, and that doesn't mean that I'm not flexible, though. Okay. Do not cheat, right? We all not to cheat. And yes, you'll receive an F in the course. I'll call up your mother and say you're a bad person. Blah 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 blah. Cheating hasn't been a problem in my class for many 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 years because you guys get it. But that doesn't mean that I won't try to catch you. There is a tool called Moss that I use to detect plagiarism. It's smart, and so probably smarter than you, and so just don't try it. So the official department line is like it's cheating to submit credit work that you did not create or allow your work to be submitted as a work from another student. Here's my advice to you: talk all you want. So if you're there working in the lab or you're hanging out, you've got a question. It's okay to go to a classmate and say, hey, I don't understand this concept from class, or I was reading the assignment and I thought it meant this. Is that what you thought? That's cool. Draw pictures on the whiteboard. Say, okay, hey, this is what I want my class to look like, and stuff like that. But just don't look at anybody else's code. And here again, use your judgment. And this is kind of a weird thing for me because, I'll be honest, and for those of you who have worked in the real world, worked in software development shops, there's collaboration. People are looking over each other's shoulder all the time. Pair programming is something that a lot of people do. And pair programming in academia would be cheating. Well, gee whiz. So here's the thing. Use your judgment. This is a senior level course. You guys have been doing this for a long time. You know what's cheating and what's not. So here again, I've put this stuff down so that I guess maybe it's the lawyer in me that says, hey, listen, I don't want anybody saying, you never said we couldn't cheat. Slap. A figurative slap, I would never hit anybody because then the lawyer in me would really come out. Or maybe someone else's lawyer would. So anyway, don't cheat. Okay, enough of that. Bunch of little miscellaneous things. The lecture notes. So tonight I've got some Dead Tree handouts that covers, I think, the stuff for tonight. All the other lecture notes are available as PDFs on my website. I would encourage you, and actually maybe this isn't so relevant anymore, to have. Well, actually no, have them with you in class if you've got questions about them. If we need to go back and refer to them, a printout or having them electronically is probably a good idea. I can't stress this enough. Don't wait until the last minute to start your projects. At first blush, they might seem really straightforward and really easy, and I think some of them might be, especially the first couple of them. But my experience teaching this course over the last almost 13 years now is that there's subtleties there. And that it's not the kind of thing you can just sit down in one night or in one morning and do. So, really my advice to you would be, go home tonight, get a good night's sleep tomorrow morning, start thinking about the project. You don't have to write all the code, but make sure that you understand it before you do it. I recommend, especially as you're learning a new language, that you write documentation for your code. We'll learn about JavaDoc and things like that. And I recommend that you document your code as you write it. I don't know about you, but when I code, I sort of have like this little narrative, this little conversation going on in my head. And it's good to sometimes write out that narrative because the act of speaking it or writing it down really forces you to make sure that it's consistent, that it makes sense. If you can say it in English, you can say it in Java. So we're in a classroom setting. I'm up here. You're all out there. It's your peers. You're probably taking other classes with each other and things like that. And I know it can be difficult when I'm up here and I'm talking really fast and maybe I'm making no sense or likely making no sense. And there's something that you don't understand or you're a little confused. Please, there's no shame in asking questions. And most likely, if you've got a question, there's someone else in this class that has that same question, who's probably really relieved that you asked it. So, don't hesitate to stop me and tell me that I'm making no sense, that you can't understand what I'm saying, or that you just like me to repeat or repeat something or explain it more. This is a senior level course. It's 410J. And if you're taking other courses that have a heavy computer workload, something like operating systems or compilers, you might want to reevaluate your schedule. I've had a number of students who've taken, compilers or sort of the more, heftier upper division courses at the same time. A lot of them said, "Wow, that's a lot of coding this summer. There was a lot of work this term." And they really struggled. And so we teach this course, every summer, or at least knock on, well, maybe this is wood, I don't know. But make sure, and I want to make sure that you get the what we really deserve out of this course. And if you're loaded down lots of other stuff, here again, use your judgment and be wise about it. I have lots of code examples, and they're there for your benefit. As a matter of fact, you can find the source code here off of the website. I've put all of my source code up here on GitHub so that it's nice and visible for you to browse through, and then you can also use GitHub to download a zip file, or you can also clone the repository to your local system so you can play with it that way. I'm not going to go into too much detail on GitHub here, but there is that screencast that talks about how to use Git in GitHub. Okay. I'm liking the Google Plus more and more, and I found I used it last summer, and it worked out pretty well. And they've added some new features like communities since then that I think will work out even better. And so, as far as like the primary way that I'll communicate to you as a group, I'd like it to be Google Plus. So please, and I think you can use Google Plus through your PSU Google stuff. Okay, can you? Good. Okay. So either through your personal one, or if you want to use it through the PSU Google Docs or whatever it's called, you can sign up there too. So and here again, I'll be using this to communicate information out to you, such as things like, hey, class is canceled, or hey, the assignment, you get another week to do it, which probably won't happen. But anyway, you can dream. But things like that. So it's important that you be on it. If anyone has like a real reluctance to use Google Plus or whatever, please let me know, and we can work something out. But really, I found that it's very effective. And just once again, here there's a link off to the Google Plus community on the class's website. You can also email me at whitlock@cs.pdx.edu. I check my email probably at lunchtime during the day, but I can do it at night. Oh, another thing is that last summer I used Google Plus Hangouts to have video chat office hours, and I found that worked out pretty well. So I'll try to make myself available probably between 8 and 9 at night. If you want to have a real-time conversation. And actually, it works pretty well for screen sharing too. So if it's like, oh wow, look, my code's not compiling, I'll ask you to share your screen with the Hangout so that we can see detailed error messages. Other than that, I work during the day. I don't have office hours here at PSU, so I apologize for that. But I'll try to make myself available electronically at other times.
Your line says that your office hours are the hour before class at Hot Pizza.
That is true. And so, yeah, officially, if you want to see me, but it's the hour before class, and so stuff is due at 6 o'clock, and so it's good for sitting down and maybe answering a couple of questions. But I want to make sure that I'm also available to you during the week too. So yeah, so come have I eat my dinner at Hot Lips, the one up here on 6th. I eat between 5 and 6 p.m. And so yeah, come hang out with me and ask questions, or if you've got feedback for me, it's a good time to give it to me in person. Class webpage you've already seen. And I do have one request. There is a Java program that I'd like you to run first thing, which is a survey program. It asks you a couple of questions, and what it does is it creates a little XML file and emails it off to me, and that's how I know who you are, and that XML file is an input into my grading program. that that I wrote. And so before I can record any of your grades, any of your quiz grades, any of your project grades, I'd like you to fill out that fill out the survey program. Okay, and that's the end of the syllabus, and it's also been 40 minutes. Any questions about the class we'll be covering, syllabus stuff? No? Stunned silence. Okay, stuff.